Good morning, everyone. They tell a story about this guy who was drowning, and the paramedics came and he called out to him, "Give me your hand, give me your hand." And the guy wouldn't give him his hand. So his wife came running and said, "Here, take my hand." And sure enough, he stretched out his hand and she rescued him. And then she turned to the paramedics and said, "My husband doesn't give anything to anyone. When I said, take my hand, that he's willing to do." This week's Torah portion talks about generosity, tzedakah, the mitzvah of giving. And the Torah says if you give charity, God will bless you. And the Torah says, when you see a poor person, lo tametz et lavavcha, do not harden your heart. Lo tikpos es yadcha, and do not clench your fist from your poor, destitute brother, but rather give him generously. Why? Because God will bless you. And the Netziv, a commentary on the Torah, points out that the implication of the verse is that the natural state of a person is to be generous. The natural disposition is to want to give. How do we know that? Because the Torah says, do not harden your heart, which means your nature is to want to be a giver. You have to make sure that you don't harden your heart and change that nature, or close your hand when your hand impulsively wants to give. Why would a person hold back and not follow his natural state of wanting to help another human being? Well, it's obvious, because they're afraid that they're going to lose out, they're going to have less money for themselves. They have fears, they have insecurities about finances. So the Torah has to say, don't allow that to harden your heart. However, we know that when it came to the mitzvah of every Jew contributing a half shekel, a rabbi said Moses didn't know what this half shekel looks like. And God showed him a fiery coin, matbeya shel eish. The question is, why didn't Moses know what the coin looks like? What's the big deal? It's a $50, half a coin, half a shekel. And if God wanted to show it to him, why not just show him a half a coin? Why a fire? The beautiful insight is that in life, when I give you something, I have less. If I have $2 and I give you one, I only have $1. If I have a bag of food and I give you half of my bag, I only have a half a bag. I am diminished by giving. However, when it comes to fire, if I have a lit candle and I light your flame, I don't have any less light or less fire on my candle. On the contrary, now I have more light, because I have my light and your light. And therefore God says, it's that Moses wanted to know, how could I motivate people to give charity? People are not going to want to give up. They're going to say, I'm only going to have a half if I give away something. And God says, no, it's a fiery coin. Just like with fire, when you give, you don't get diminished, you don't lose anything. Same thing with tzedakah. The more you give, the more you get, because God will bless you. And therefore, not only will you not lose, you will gain. There's a rabbi in England, his name is Rabbi Chazan. And he's a rabbi of a big synagogue in England. And he tells a story that one day, it was before Yom Kippur one year, he was sitting in his office trying to write a sermon. And suddenly he said to himself, why am I writing a sermon? It's right before Yom Kippur. I should be doing good deeds. I should be doing mitzvot. I should be helping people. I should be getting ready for the high holidays with acts of kindness. So he started to look through his telephone book, who he could call to help. And he saw a name of an elderly man that he hadn't seen in a long time in the synagogue. He said, let me call him, see how he's doing. He calls the home, and the family member picks up and says, oh, Rabbi, so good to hear from you. Unfortunately, we had to put him into a senior home. He was declining. He's at this and this senior home, living in this nursing home. The rabbi calls, and he asks about him and says, can I come over to visit? And the nurses say, sure, you're welcome to come. He gets into his car, he drives over there, and he comes to the room of this member, and he knocks on the door. And the member says, who's there? And he says, it's Rabbi Chazan. He says, come in. And he sits down next to this elderly man, and the man starts to cry. He says, what's the matter? He says, Rabbi, I've been in this nursing home now for a few months, and my eyesight has declined. I can't see anymore. And I was just thinking to myself this morning, it's Yom Kippur, I can't go to the synagogue, I'm all alone here. And I was thinking to myself, what's the point of my existence? What's the point of my life? I'm just sitting in this room doing nothing, and I can't even see. And I said to God, God, if you want me to know that my life has purpose, has meaning, my existence matters, send me a sign that you want me to continue living so I don't give up on life. And then, a few hours later, you, Rabbi, knock on my door. This was the sign that God is sending me. At this point, the rabbi was crying too. Rabbi Chazan concludes the story and says, the next day, I went to the synagogue for Yom Kippur. And what did I talk about? I talked about how God answers prayers. I gave a sermon about how God has a purpose and a meaning for every one of our lives. And I told the story to the congregation, what had just happened to me the day before. And so God not only gave me the opportunity to do a tremendous mitzvah and to literally save someone's life, to give him the will to live, but God also gave me a wonderful story for my Yom Kippur sermon that I was working on. That's what the verse says. Do the mitzvah, help another person, give charity, whether financially or with your time or your efforts or your skills. Because of this, God will bless you. That's why as we bless the month of Elul this Shabbat, throughout the 40 days of Elul and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we focus on giving more charity, because charity is the greatest source of blessings in our lives and in the lives of others. Have a wonderful Shabbat.